This week, who's more romantic, married men or single men? The results of a new study. Also, profiles of crazy bosses. Where does yours fit in? Plus, Melanie Griffith, along with her new co-star, Michael Douglas, on Good Morning America this week.
Tonight's movie, Romancing the Stone, will continue in a moment.
Tomorrow, music's biggest stars come out for America's hottest awards. Join Paula Abdul.
This is so exciting.
Urban Magic Johnson, Michael Bolton, Belle Biv DeVoe, and Natalie Cole, with live performances by Color Me Bad, Whitney Houston, Garth Brooks, and Winona Judd's very first solo appearance. Plus, Award of Merit recipient James Brown.
And the winner is...
Hammer hosts the award show that's too legit to miss. The American Music Awards tomorrow.
A live report from Super Bowl XXVI after the movie.
But the games begin.
Tuesday, which feller is the best speller?
I'm doomed. Doomed? The 2 O's or 2 M's? I have no idea.
Full house, then. Something is about to bring families closer together. There's something sneaky going on right under the president's nose.
First, I have a brief statement.
And feet. Everyone knows Washington is full of bugs and rats.
No stinking way.
But this is ridiculous. Capital Critters. Special preview Tuesday.
Talk about a rush!
Wednesday, meet David Letterman.
You are not hurt that you were passed over for Johnny Carson's show.
Who wouldn't want to have that job?
Phil Donahue and Marlo Thomas.
First of all, she's a good lover.
And Kirstie Alley.
I would like to thank my husband for giving me the big one. What did you mean?
I meant the big one.
A hot new Barbara Walters special, Wednesday at 9, 8 Central.
Everyone's talking about Primetime's cutest couple.
You are thinking of SCX.
You're not.
Tammy Lauren and Kyle Chandler are simply irresistible.
I'm gonna miss you too.
On Homefront, Tuesday at 10, 9 Central.
Romancing the Stone, starring Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, will continue in a moment.
How do you talk to your children about AIDS? How do you convince them they're not immortal? A program that may help, which you can watch together. We'll listen to teenagers. We'll try to understand the dangers and have your questions answered.
Growing Up in the Age of AIDS, an ABC News special next Sunday at 6:30, 5:30 Central.
Coming up tonight on News Source 13, a 39-year-old man is gunned down inside an Irondequoit home. Police are still trying to figure out why the victim, Chung Lam, was killed.
And we'll tell you about Catholic Schools Week, a way to try and keep some Catholic schools afloat at a time when many are drowning.
Into whether snow will arrive before morning rush, we'll have details.
In sports, we'll continue our coverage of Super Bowl XXVI with a complete live wrap-up from Minneapolis. Join us for those stories and more
later tonight.
Wheel of Fortune, weeknights at 7, only on WOKR 13.
We continue with Romancing the Stone.
Wednesday.
Your mother and I have decided to get a divorce.
And we want you to be our lawyer.
Do you know how long it's been since your mother and I have had sex?
He spits.
Watch your ash.
I'm aware of my ash. Your father hasn't touched me since he had his operation 3 years ago.
Civil Wars, Wednesday at 10, 9 Central.
Tonight's movie, Romancing the Stone, will continue in a moment. Everybody's reacting to Billy.
Step and sway, step and sway.
And those girls with those big pom-pom things giving it a bit of that. The man puts me away.
My God, you are spectacular!
Wow, man!
Billy Connolly comes to TGIF. Woo! That's beautiful. Billy premieres Friday after Baby Talk.
This is exactly like basket weaving. How would you like a handle in your head?
Coming up tonight on News Source 13, a puzzling murder in Irondequoit. A 39-year-old man is shot to death inside his home. Police are trying to figure out why. And Super Bowl XXVI didn't quite play out as Buffalo Bills fans had hoped. A disappointing Super Sunday in Minneapolis for the Bills. Plus, we'll tell you why these big people are riding around on these tiny trikes. Now this.
Ice Storm 91 is available again for a limited time. Send $14.95 to Ice Storm 91, WOKR-TV, P.O. Box L, Rochester 14623.
Join us in a bit for a live report from Minneapolis, plus all the other news and sports and weather coming up.
Jeopardy! Weeknights at 7:30, only on WOKR 13.
We continue with Romancing the Stone.
I thought I was the Sultan of Surprise, but Megan just knocked me out. I always wondered what it'd be like when I finally met my match. Sometimes life pulls the rug out from under you. I've loved a lot of women, but what Megan taught me about friendship, now that took me by surprise.
Let life surprise you. One life to live. A week of memories all next week.
Tomorrow, the world of music comes out to play. Join Michael Bolton, Paula Abdul, Reba McEntire, Marky Mark, Garth Brooks, and Whitney Houston, plus Award of Merit recipient James Brown.
And the winner is...
Hammer hosts the award show that's too legit to miss. The American Music Awards tomorrow.
A fertility doctor for childless couples, but sometimes the sperm was his. Was the doctor making his own babies? Didn't you think twice about using your own sperm?
More doctors use their sperm than people know.
An investigation, primetime Thursday.
Straight ahead from News Source 13, we'll have a complete recap of Super Bowl 26.
Plus, a puzzling homicide in Irondequoit this morning.
These clouds now headed our way will bring some snow to Rochester. The complete details in a few minutes.
All that and more
just ahead.
News Source 13 closed captioning is made possible by Citibank.
From WOKR, Rochester, this is News Source 13, Rochester's first choice for news.
Good evening. Super Bowl 26 belongs to the Washington Redskins.
And the Buffalo Bills are once again feeling the disappointment of a Super Bowl loss. Rich Becker joins us now in our newsroom with more on that loss. Another tough one, Rich.
Yeah, it is, but it's I don't know if maybe you can say if a loss is ever easy to take, but this one is certainly a little easier to take than it went last year for the Buffalo Bills as they took on the Redskins tonight at the Metrodome in Minnesota. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the game. It started out for the Bills like, well, maybe they might have a chance in this one. It was Skins with a field goal try for Chip Lohmiller, but it was muffed, and Cornelius Bennett made the play. But things went downhill from there for the Bills. Mark Rippon to Ernest Biner. It was 10-0. Then it was Gerald Riggs up the middle, a touchdown, 17-0. Then it was Riggs again, 24-0. And finally, Jim Kelly sacked 5 times today, fumbles right here, one of his 5 turnovers. The Redskins do it to the Bills in a big way, 37-24. The final. Mark Rippon is the MVP. Standing by live right now in Minneapolis near the Metrodome is Mike Catalana. Mike, was it as ugly as it seemed here?
Well, it was not a pretty sight for the Bills, Rich, to be honest with you. I heard you say that maybe this one was a little easier to take than last year. I don't know if I would agree with that. You talk to the Bills now after the game. Last year, they felt a sense of pride. They had played the Giants tough down to the final seconds. This game, they did not play Buffalo Bills football. They fell behind early by 24 points in the third quarter, and they could never come back in this football game. That makes 8 times in a row that the NFC has beaten the AFC. And the thing that makes it so tough for the Bills to take is that the Redskins look like the dominant team in this football game. The Redskins got out early and held on for the victory. Just moments ago, we talked to the dejected Bills in the locker room.
You know, it was our goal. I'm glad that we accomplished our goal. We came into the game expecting a tough game, and even though it looked good for us, it was not that easy. Let me say that.
Some opportunities that got away. They made some big plays finally early in the second quarter and put points on the board. We had a couple that maybe might have been the same, but had a drop pass or two that might have kept our drive going.
We made a lot of mistakes. We didn't really adjust to what they were doing at a certain point in time, and you got to give the credit to the Washington defense. Our no-huddle offense is a fast-paced offense, but they hung in there the entire football game.
With the victory today, and they did it with Mark Rippon at the controls at quarterback. You know, Rich, a lot of people had said maybe Jim Kelly would have the edge in this football game because Mark Rippon had never been in a Super Bowl before, but Rippon had one major advantage. That offensive line was just frightening for the Redskins. They kept the Bills' defensive backs, and they kept the Bills' defensive line, Bruce Smith and Cornelius Bennett, the linebackers, away from Mark Rippon the whole game, and Rippon showed that he's a great quarterback and won a Super Bowl today.
And you also have to give them credit for their defense, Mike. They certainly did a great job holding the Bills down until the last going. What's the feeling in the Bills locker room? Are they really totally down about this?
Oh, they're very dejected. You know, 2 years in a row to get this far and to lose a football game. And they did things, as we said, so uncharacteristic of the Bills. The beginning of the football game, Thurman Thomas missed the first 2 plays because he couldn't find his helmet. And that's no way to start a Super Bowl game. And it got progressively worse. The Bills did make a comeback there in the 4th quarter, but it was, as they say, too little, too late. We'll have more coming up for you later in sports.
Okay, Mike, we'll look forward to that. Final score again to remind you, Redskins 37, Bills 24. We will have much more coming up in sports. Patrice, Greg?
Thanks, Rich. This was, of course, not the ending Bills fans had in mind. Many watched the game hoping for that winning play, but it never happened. They began the evening shouting, cheering, with high spirits and glasses raised. But as the game went on, fans felt less like shouting and more like crying. Things became quiet, less festive at many Super Bowl parties, except for the quiet cheers of some Skins fans.
Skins win, I'll be a lot richer, and I'll just have to go into work and be pretty happy.
Faces were anything but happy as Washington scored a first touchdown. A second, then a third. And Bills fans tried to look ahead to next year.
If they lose, well, it's too bad. This year it was a different day for me, so I got a little bit extra excited for it. And if they do lose, it's not going to be a matter of me being disappointed. It's going to be a matter of me looking forward to next year.
I'm going to Buffalo, and I'm going to be there at the airport to greet them. I got the day off. I'll be there.
Not the ending that any of us had in mind, but we have to go on, right?
Yeah,
Mroz is here.
I guess we do. In the morning, we're going to expect to see some snow arriving, probably by mid to late morning. We're expecting to start fairly cold, but it should warm up above freezing during the afternoon, and I think that's going to make some of that snow kind of wet and heavy, Greg and Patrice, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes with the complete weathercast.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Straight ahead from News Source 13, a puzzling murder in Irondequoit. We'll have that story.
Plus, a look at what was happening in space today. A 73-year-old man died tonight following a car accident that happened on Lake Avenue. The victim, Joseph Petrilla, was trapped inside the car. Rescue workers cut off the roof to free him. Petrilla was taken to Rochester General Hospital, where he died a short time later. 2 other people were injured in that accident.
Police say a boyfriend and girlfriend were also injured during a double shooting just after 9 o'clock. One of the victims was taken away from a home on Orange Street, but police say the shooting happened on Broad Street, just a block away. Police say both victims were shot in the leg. So far, no suspects in that shooting.
And one person was hurt tonight in a fire that happened on Pullman Avenue tonight. The victim was overcome with smoke in the fire at 329 Pullman Avenue. He was treated and released at Rochester General Hospital. It took firefighters 15 minutes to put out the fire. It started in the basement of that home.
Irondequoit police are investigating a homicide, but are refusing to release any details until tomorrow morning. An autopsy was performed on 39-year-old Chung Lam, who was reportedly shot to death at his Veronica Drive home overnight. Lam's family members believe at least 3 people are responsible for the fatal shooting.
The nurse called me from the hospital and tell me my niece husband dead. I'm so sad, you know.
One man is hospitalized with a bullet wound and is listed in satisfactory condition at Rochester General. Police aren't naming any suspects, but the victim's family believes 22-year-old Sang No is a suspect in the shooting. Police are not releasing a motive and have called a news conference for tomorrow morning.
This is an important day for those with disabilities. A new law in effect today prohibits discrimination against the disabled, and it should make life easier for some 46,000 people in our area with disabilities.
It's Catholic Schools Week, and schools in Rochester are using the week to get the word out about the benefits of a Catholic education. This year's theme is Discover Catholic Schools. Parents and children started a week of activities today with a Mass. Some parents say they simply feel more at ease sending their kids to Catholic school.
There's a little more caring shown than what you see in the public schools. And when the increased violence and things that are going on in the city schools, it would scare me to death to send my daughters there. So I have no other, this is the safest thing I can do for them.
Other parents say they like the discipline and the feeling of belonging Catholic schools give their children. For the rest of the week, Catholic schools in the area will be hosting activities and letting parents in schools to get a first-hand look at how Catholic education works. Governor Mario Cuomo has signed new legislation to extend the date for school board elections. Elections were scheduled for May of this year but have been postponed until 1993. Supporters of the law were pushing for the delay so new school district lines can be drawn. The current district lines haven't been updated in over 20 years, resulting in what Cuomo calls a wide population disparity between the districts.
A tragic fire in Cincinnati. 5 children died when flames swept through their townhouse that was in downtown Cincinnati. The victims ranged in age from 8 to 12 years old. Police have charged 19-year-old William Lee Garner in connection with those deaths. He apparently left the children home alone. There were no batteries in the home smoke detector. And jury selection begins tomorrow in one of the worst murder cases in Milwaukee history. A jury will decide if Jeffrey Dahmer is insane. Dahmer has admitted he killed 17 people.
NASA might extend the Discovery shuttle mission one more day. NASA says the astronauts are doing a great job of conserving electricity, and the savings might be enough to give them an extra day to collect more data. The astronauts are studying the effects of weightlessness. The mission is scheduled to end on Wednesday, but NASA will decide tomorrow whether or not to extend the trip. Discovery Commander Ronald Graves says his crew would be more than happy to stay in space an extra day. Well, later on in sports, Rich Becker will have more on the Redskins' Super Bowl victory.
And the Super Bowl difficulties for the Buffalo Bills. That's coming up in sports.